Oh, I can teach you how to take a thread of anything and let them move, and I can help you to dry your eyes so you can see. So this is my hate dress. It's an artwork that I've created in response to trolling that I receive on my social media. And people write the most horrible things, and a lot of it's extremely misogynistic as well. And I think compared to my fellow male activist friends, I've received a huge amount more abuse than them because of my gender. And so it felt kind of obvious to make a dress from it, I guess, because of the gendered nature of the abuse that I receive. So I began by documenting all of the trolling that I received during my first year of the MA Fine Art Digital course. So just over the course of the year, I started taking screenshots of all of the hateful comments that were left under my social media posts. And I used the reflective blog that we keep for the course as a tool to categorize and analyze the hate so that I could better understand the narratives. So for example, misogyny, mental health stigma, and I just pick out my favorite comments. And by favorite, I mean the ones that were most abusive and hurtful, or the ones that were the funniest, or ones where they'd made really ridiculous typos or things where just displaying the comment was mocking them. And I started painting these out on strips of fabric and then adding abstract marks in bright colours, which for me is a way of expressing an emotional reaction. And originally I wasn't sure what I was going to do with these strips of fabric. I thought maybe I'd sew them into a tapestry or something. But then the idea came to make a dress. And I'd never made a dress before, so I had to find myself a pattern. I ended up copying a dress that I bought from a shop because I really liked the style, and I sewed this bodice based on that pattern, and then attached all of the strips of fabric with the troll comments that I painted together with ribbons. Now, the ribbons are really important because for me, a ribbon is like an invitation for something to be undone, something to be deconstructed, for a wrapping to be torn off. And my idea with the dress is ultimately for it to be dismantled. I want the hate to be removed and cast aside in a performance artwork. A patchwork of memories in the darkness you have sung. Each tattered fragment stitched together, laid on your bed. And as you So some of the comments that I've received include things like, "Nurse, she's gotten out again, bring the big net and special jacket. She needs a fuck and pop out a few kids to give her something meaningful to do. That's a challenging wank. Still not found yourself a husband, the clock's ticking, dear." One of them wrote, "Get out of your high horse." There were other comments that were just plain abusive or derogatory, like, "You're 30, you stupid cow. Fuck students, you honestly think everybody thinks or gives a toss about you lazy fucks? Get back to your cult, silly little girl. And have you thought about OnlyFans? You're wasting your time, why not find a worthwhile use for your life? Why don't you go and do some colouring in? British activist and artist, so you do nothing then? Maddie, this is getting embarrassing now. How can somebody talk so much and say so little? Load of tripe. Listening to that woman is an embarrassment to the country. At the beginning, it was really difficult to deal with because I'd never experienced that kind of abuse before. As time's gone on, I've got more and more used to it, and I guess kind of anesthetized to it. But I've also found strategies for dealing with it and coping with it. Now, the advice that's always given by organizations like the Center for Countering Digital Hate on trolling is block and ignore. And that works in terms of minimizing the engagement and thereby reducing the trolling, but it does nothing for the victim in terms of psychologically coping with the abuse. And I've actually found that some of my music videos have gone viral as a result of the trolling and my supporters and followers sticking up for me and arguing with the trolls on my behalf. And that way I don't have to engage with the trolls myself, but I benefit from their engagement. There was a real outpouring when I started to share the paintings of the troll comments, and that taking it out of the kind of anonymized digital tech bro world and turning it into something that was handcrafted and on fabric, so domestic, I think brought home to people the emotion involved and spurred empathy. I asked my dad to take photos of me wearing the dress in my garden, and he took the most beautiful, candid photos I think that only he could have taken, because he's my dad and he understands better than anybody else what I've been going through with all the trolling. And when I shared those on my social media, people were applauding me and congratulating me for the dress, and they really saw it as something that was empowering and showing that I can take all of this abuse and I can positively channel it into something that's going to benefit me, but also raise awareness of the impacts of online abuse and the need ultimately for policy change and legislation in order to protect people from the harms of life on the internet. My hope for this artwork, this dress, is that it inspires other people to speak out and to stand up to abuse and not to be silenced by it.
Oh, I can teach you how to take a thread of empathy and let them be, and I can help you to dry your eyes so you can see. You have to let them be.
I know that being an activist, and particularly a female activist, can be really intimidating, and the trolls and the abusers are trying to scare you out of speaking up. I don't want to shy away from the fact that it's going to happen, because it probably will, but what I want to say is that you can use it as an empowering tool. Oscar Wilde wrote the most beautiful line, which is, "The only thing worse than being talked about is not being talked about." If you're having impact and you are driving this engagement, even if it's negative, it means that your work matters and you should keep going. And I hope that my dress inspires people to keep speaking out and not to be silenced.